Welcome back, crew. Savage Worlds are our game of the month for November, so that means we are going to be diving into the system, letting you know how to play, how to build a character, the core mechanics, everything you need to know to bring SWADE to your table. So, today we're getting to my favorite piece of learning any new tabletop RPG. We're building a PC. I've said it time and time again on this channel, if you want to learn a new RPG, even if you're going to be the game master, which I will be for this Wade game, go through, build a PC. It lets you know what the system values. It helps you to be able to help your character or your PCs be able to build out their characters because you know exactly kind of how to do so. And it also lets you know some of the stumbling blocks or just some of the core mechanics you may miss just being on the other side of the table. So, highly recommend it. We're going to be doing that today for SWADE. Before we jump into there, though, I do want to give a couple shout outs. Biggest one being, as always with any of our games of the month, we're going to have a live actual play for the Savage Worlds or SWADE system November 30th, Wednesday at 7 p.m. Eastern Time. So come through, join me and my crew as we go through and play this amazing RPG. This will be my first time and a couple of my other players' first time. But this time we actually have a couple of veterans coming through with us. They've played the system extensively. So you get to see us kind of learn the rule sets and kind of try out the system, both from the perspective of newcomers as well as people who've played hours and hours into it. So I think this will be a fun mix of a crew on that side. So join us Wednesday, November 30th. My channel, Tegan J Gaming at twitch.com. Drop a follow there if you haven't. And we're going to go into the system and get to have some fun RP as we go along. But if that's not enough to kind of draw you in, really, one of the core goals of this channel is to get more people playing other systems outside of the 5e bundle. So what we do is we always give away a copy of the PDF during the live actual play. So come through, we raffle it off sometime during the game, and you could be one of the lucky winners to be able to bring home a copy of this system and run at the table with you and your crew. So join us for that. We've got some pretty good winners on that side who've gone on and run games with them themselves. So join us, and maybe you'll be one of the lucky winners. But today we're going to go into building a PC with the Savage World system. So with this system, just a little bit of a sneak peek for our actual play. Usually when I run games, I'm either running in fantasy or super futuristic sci-fi. So I wanted to run an era I'm not really used to. So we're going to be running the modern era. I saw that the Savage World system had a lot of cool rules for running modern era, including some standard equipment. Like they got an AK-47 in there, so they had all that kind of pre-built into the game. And I wanted to kind of stretch my DM muscles and get out of the sci-fi era, which I'm probably most comfortable in, and run it with the modern. So that's what we're going to be doing. Our crew's going to be a mercenary company hired to go retrieve an object from these dangerous jungles. Really going for some '90s action movie, cheesy, Expendables type vibe. So it should be a blast on that side. And just kind of a little heads up as we go through and build our PC. So with this, I want to give another shout out to Savage Worlds and Pinnacle for making it easy on the side. I love when games, when they have either their PDF or their core rulebook, when they give a good one-page document that walks you through how to build a PC without a lot of fluff in there. Because sometimes with some systems, 5e, when you go through like their examples on how to build a PC, there's just so much fluff that expands to multiple pages and it becomes like a reading chore. With this system, they made it quick and easy to be able to read exactly what you need to do to build a PC, including the core like amount of points and attributes and things like that that you add. You can just quickly glance at this and go through each step and know exactly what you need to do. Not a ton of rating. It just makes it quick and easy for newcomers and veterans alike to be able to build out their PC. So shout out for including this in there. Other tabletop RPGs, please put this in. Definitely put it in the hardcover if you can, but certainly the PDF. It truly makes life easy. So with this, we're going to go through and kind of go step by step to build a PC, just so you know how to utilize it for your own tables, because that's kind of what the goal for this video is if you're picking up SWADE or even just interested in playing the Savage World system, you'll know how to build a PC and kind of feel comfortable with doing that before you pick up the game and go for yourself. So we're going to go through step by step, and then I'm going to show you on Roll20 kind of how to put on some of the attributes, just so you know how to do so if you use a virtual tabletop. But either way, you'll be able to come through hopefully confidently and build a PC after watching this video. So that's my hope. So concept is the first piece there. So we're going to be building, as I said, my crew is going to be mercenaries in this. I'm not sure if this guy will show up as an NPC or if it's just be something we made and kind of the same theme. So I wanted to make a mercenary. So kind of concept with him, I'm calling him Sargent Varro. Big guy, he has been survived numerous encounters, real soldier for hire type that's almost believes his own hype. Definitely a little bit arrogant, definitely feeling himself probably a little bit too much, but he's got a lot of skills that kind of allows him to feel like he's backing that up. So we're going to go through and build this. And one of the things I like with the Savage World system, just from kind of so far reading through it, I love how the hindrances and some of the edges can add to your RP. So we're going to go through and kind of as we add those hindrances, we're going to continue to build out Sargent Varro. And something I recommend as you do with building your own PCs, come up with that concept, but as you're putting in mechanics and putting in different features, let those kind of tell the story. Kind of help build them out and kind of help flesh them out so it's kind of real to you as you're putting them down to the paper. That's something I like to do, and I found that it helps me make better characters and also contribute more to the RP with doing so. So, with that, we've got our concept. So our first step is we're going to go through to the race section. So with this system, they've come through and they've got some pre-made races for you. But one of the cool things is they give you the tools to build your own custom race pretty easily. We're not going to do that today. I think I may do like a whole video on just the customization features for Savage Worlds. But today we're going to pick one of the core races. So with this one, while it is going to be in the modern age, it's still going to be kind of a fantasy-like setting. So there are a lot of there'll be elves, there'll be dwarves, all of those guys will still be there. They'll just be in a more modern setting. So with that, I'm going to pick a half-elf for Sargent Varro. I wanted him to be an ace shot, like have a little dead eye there. I wanted him to be quick and nimble. And with the half elves, one of the cool things you can pick up from them is that you can get the elven agility, or you could pick one of the ones from humans. But we're going to pick that elven agility. So what that's going to do is going to bump him from a D4 for his attribute die on agility, which is kind of the base level. It's going to be bumping him up to a D6 for free. So that's kind of cool on that side. That's going to come in very handy for Sargent Varro. Also with that though, he gets low light vision to be able to see a little bit better in dim and dark light. And he also gets the outsider piece. Sargent Varro, he's a cocky guy. He's not the best at making friends. He's one that kind of run his mouth a little bit too much about himself and probably push people off a little bit. That fits with the outsider side because unless they're talking to another half elf, they're going to have a -2 to persuasion. I didn't want him to make the most charming or charismatic, so this fits exactly what I was looking for him. But that's easy. We've got our race. And just remember, when we go to building out our attributes, agility is going to start at a D6 versus a D4. So now that we've got that done, we're going to go to the next line on the list. We're going to building out our hindrances. So the hindrances, you get 4 points you can pick for any of the hindrances that come up. And within that, they've got major and minor hindrances. The majors cost 2 points, minors 1 point. And you can kind of mix and match. You can do 4 minors, 2 majors, however you like, just up to those 4 points. Cool thing with those 4 points, once you spend them, is you get to apply them in other areas. So for 2 points, you can either gain a free edge or bump up an attribute by 1 dice. For 1 point, you can gain an extra skill point or extra starting funds, which I thought was pretty cool, the starting funds, because the SWADE stuff, I don't know if it's just for the modern era, it's expensive. So we're not going to use it for Sargent Varro, but I would let my players know about that just to make sure they came across that, because I know some of the people were having trouble filling out the gear they wanted for a good price. So I like that they baked that in. You could spend that 1 point and start off with some extra cash and come in with whatever you need. So now that we've got that in, we're going to go through and pick out our hindrances. So this, as I said, he's a kind of a cocky guy. So I did want to go with the arrogant major hindrance. So I can give him 2 points on that side. So in one of the lines in there I like, so I'll read it to you, is, your hero doesn't think he's the best, he knows it. And that fits Sargent Varro. He's a pretty decorated merc. He's gone through crazy adventures. He thinks his shit doesn't stink. He's going to be one of those guys that's, he thinks he could probably take down the Empire all by himself. So that's kind of what I wanted to do for him. And with these hindrances, some of them are kind of have mechanical effects, and some of them are just roleplay features. So the arrogant one is just a pure roleplay feature. There's no mechanics that go along with this. So definitely one thing, kind of a little DM tip on this side, or player tip. When you're picking out these ones and you notice it is an RP one, just really try to make sure to live up to that. Like, don't pick arrogant and then have your guy be the most rational, well thought out guy. Try to lean into whatever those hindrances are. Play them out as much as you can. Definitely, and for game masters, if you see your player really leaning into it, give them some bennies. Recognize their efforts on that side. But definitely for these hindrances, they give you some cool points to spend otherwise. So just make sure you're kind of living it up and kind of following your end as a player, and not like just picking it for mechanical bonuses and just letting it lie. So if I brought Sergeant Varro to the table, I would definitely play him as arrogant as I can while still being friendly to the other players. So we've got that in there. We've got 2 of our 4 points spent. We're gonna go and get our last one with Sergeant Varro. I want him to be pretty like he's skilled at his job, but he's arrogant and he has a real thin skin. Insults get under his skin quickly and put him in a spot where he's ready to fight or do something reckless. When I saw that thin skin one, I'm like, this is perfect. So we're gonna go with Major for this one. And kind of what I did too, and this is what I would do if I was building a regular PC as well. So as we mentioned, we had the ones that had the RP flavor and the others that have the mechanical effect. I think it's kind of cool to pick one for both. So at least one for both. So with this, we had the Arrogant that just had the RP stuff. The Thin Skin actually has mechanics behind it. So with this, if you took it as a minor one, you would have -2 to resisting taunts. He's really thin skinned, so we're going Major. So he has -4 to his roll to resist taunts. So he's definitely somebody that gets easy to bug him, easy to get him unnerved and ready to do something crazy. But that's it. We built out our PC on that side for the hindrances. So remember, we've got 4 points, and I'll make sure to call them out as we spend those 4 points as we go through and build out the rest of Sergeant Varro's kit. So now that we've got that, we're going to go into our attributes. So with this, you get 5 points to spend on the different attributes, and you get to go through and kind of build those up. With them, all the base attributes start at a D4. At each time, and it costs 1 point to build them up to a different dice. So it doesn't like cost more if you're going from a D10 to a D12. It's just always 1 point per move. Cool thing with this too is it just kind of makes it simple. And you can spend, as we said, if you have 2 hit points from your hindrance side, you can add another attribute point in. And that's what we're going to do for Sergeant Varro. He's going to have 6 points to spend. And as I mentioned before, we're starting off with a D6 in agility due to being a half elf. So with agility, it's tied as a little sneak peek to the skills, tied to the shooting skill as well as fighting. So a lot of being a merc on that side is shooting and fighting. So we're going to put 2 points into the agility skill, bumping that up from a D6 to a D10. And also another preview with the system is you have a D4 to D12 for the dice that you can use for your attributes. Now, if you have a racial feature like we do for the half elf, you could go to a D12 plus 1. This is a reflection that you get a little bit of a bonus due to your race. But with this guy, we're just keeping it at a D10. I think it's a good starting level for him. As he advances, he may get a better shot, but I think for a novice, D10 is more than enough. So, with this though, we've got like 5 different skills that you can choose from. So you've got agility, smarts, strength, vigor, and spirit. So we've already spent 2 attribute points from our 6 on the vigor side, or on the agility. With smarts, he's not the most smart guy. He's definitely kind of a more brawny merc, so we're giving him 0. He's going to roll a d4 whenever something from smarts comes up. Strength, we're going to give him a +1 from our attributes. So that's going to give him from a d4 to a d6, leaving us with 3 points left. And just remember, we're spending 2 of our hindrance points to give us an extra attribute point. So usually you have 5, but for Sergeant Varro, he'll have 6. Then, with Vigor, we're going to spend another 2 points, bumping that up from a D4 all the way to a D8. And then Spirit, we're going to spend 1 point on that side, bumping up from a D4 to a D6. So, with these attributes, each of the skills that we're going to go through and pick in the next section is tied to a different attribute. So having those higher for the certain skills you're going to want to have is going to make it easier to be able to purchase those skills for a good price, which we'll go into a little bit more depth. But just a quick walk through the skills. Agility is kind of your nimbleness, kind of hand-eye coordination, all of that. Strength, smarts is just how intelligent you are, how much you can notice and perceive the world around you, manage raw data. Spirits, your self-confidence. I kind of wish I had more points to spend on Varro because I would definitely bump that up. But as he adventures, that's probably another one he'll kind of continually bumping up. Strength, physical power, carrying ability, and then your vigor, just kind of how durable you are and kind of just how much your endurance can last out. But we've built out our attributes. So now we're going to go through and take a look at the skills. So with this section, you have 12 points to spend on skill points. Now you can also use your hindrances to for 1 point of hindrance, you can add 1 skill point in. We're not using any more skill points for Varro, so he'll just have the base 12 points. So with these, it costs the costs vary by the different proficiency level, for lack of a better way to put it, you have in the associated attribute. So each skill has that associated attribute. So for instance, shooting is linked to agility. So if you're spending, like let's use Sargent Varro for instance. We spent enough attribute points, so he has a D10 in agility. For each bump up of shooting below that D10, or 2 and below the D10, you just have to spend 1 point. If you want to build the skill beyond where that attribute dice is, so if you wanted to go to a D12 for shooting, that would cost 2 points to do. So pretty simple. So definitely makes sense for your attributes. You want to make sure that the attributes for the skills you want to use are at a good level, just to save on points and make sure you're not wasting points. So with that, a lot of Sargent Varro's skills are going to be in the agility score, because that's where most of his points are, and he's a mercenary, and shooting, fighting, all of those are usually under the agility score, so it makes it easy. Also with this too, I should mention, is you get 5 free skills that they kind of just say that is a core adventurer's kit. So you get athletics, you get notice, common knowledge, persuasion, and stealth. Typically, if you don't have proficiency in a skill, for lack of a better way to put it, you would roll a d4 minus 2. But with those ones, you get to start off at a d4 already. So that's something to remember when you're putting your points in, because typically to go from that d4 minus 2 to just a regular d4 costs 1 point. But for those 5, you're already in there. You don't need to spend that point to get them up. So, for Sargent Varro, we wanted to give him some good skills. He is going to be a pretty rough and tumble merc, so we wanted to make sure that the skills reflect that in there. So, let's go through the base ones first. So for the base skills, or the free adventuring skills, we're going to put 1 point into stealth. Since it started at a d4, that'll put us at a d6. Same thing with athletics, 1 point, a d4 to a d6. Both of those are tied to agility. So that just costs 1 point on that side. We're going to get a good starting basis there too. Now, one of the other skills we're going to want to do, he's a rough and tumble merc, so we wanted to make sure he is a good fighter. Fighting is tied to agility. Fighting is kind of your skill for hand-to-hand and weapons combat. So we're going to give him 3 points into fighting. So since fighting isn't one of the skills all adventurers get, we're going to spend 1 point to go from that d4 minus 2 to a d4, and the other 2 points to get it up from a d4 to a d8. So with that, we spent 5 points already. We've got some cool skills. Now, one of the other big things I wanted to have for him, he's not the smartest guy, but he is a mercenary. He's been on battlefields for a long time, so I wanted to give him some battle smarts. So with that, we only have a d4 for our battle smarts. So with that, we're just going to spend 1 point to change that from a d4 minus 2 to a regular d4. So we're not going to spend more. If we wanted to bump that from a d4 to a d6, we'd have to spend 2 points. So we're just going to spend that 1 point there. Now that we've got that, we're going to go through and pick a couple last ones. With this guy, he's a mercenary in the modern age. So one of the big ones that we're going to want him to be able to have is the shooting skill. That's tied to agility. So we're going to go and build it up pretty much right to the max. So with this, it's one of the ones that's not proficient. So we have to spend 1 point from a d4 minus 2 to a d4, another point from a d4 to a d6, another one all the way up to a d10. So we're going right up to the basis on that side, and we're going to spend 5 points there. So finally, the last thing we're going to spend one of our points on, we're going to give him a driving. So he's driven a lot of kind of ground vehicles, so he's going to be able to kind of whip around the area and make sure he's driving through whether the jungles, rough tundra, wherever his mercenary adventures may take him, he's going to be able to get out there and drive pretty well. So now that we've done that, we're going to go back to our character creation screen, and we've kind of gone through most of them. We've got our attributes, we've got our hindrances, we've got our skills now. Now we're going to touch on some of the derived statistics. So with this, standard pace is 6. Some attributes or hindrances may affect it. Nothing that we changed for Sargent Varro does, so he's going to have a standard pace of 6. So now your parry is 2 plus half of fighting. So we put a d8 into fighting, so that's going to be a 4 plus 2, so he'll have a parry of 6. Now toughness is 2 plus half of vigor, We put 2 points, 2 dice into vigor, putting that from a D4 up to a D8. So same thing on that side. It'd be a 6 for his toughness. So we figured that portion out. The only thing we have to do next is pick out our edges and gear. So edges are pretty cool on this side. They've got a lot of fun things in them. Now, just be warned, you don't typically start with an edge unless you save points from hindrances to be able to give yourself an edge, or in case some of your racial, like humans, get a free edge. So with these, I've got some cool edges on that side, from powers to different fighting stuff. It just really varies on that side. So with our guy, though, I wanted to give him dodge. He's able to anticipate attacks. He's able to kind of quickly move out of the way while his bullets fly towards him. That's how he survived on the battlefields and how he kind of got that arrogant persona that he can matrix through bullets. So we gave him that, and we spent our last 2 hindrance points. So we've built that in. Now the last thing is to pick out some gear. So with this, we're going to go through this pretty quickly on that side, just because it can pretty vary a lot by what you want to do, but we're using modern weapons. He's a mercenary, so I wanted to give him a rifle. So I gave him the Spencer Carbine, which does 2d8 damage and has some nice range on it. So we equipped him out with that. With armor as well, we're using modern armor, so I gave him a Kevlar vest. So that's, oh, and I should mention, the gun was $250, the Kevlar vest is $200. You start with $500 to spend, so we've already spent $450. As you see, it can kind of tallies up pretty quickly. Then I'm going to spend another $20 on getting him some camouflage fatigues, and that's our gear for him. Yeah, so if you take a look at our character summary, we've went through all the different pieces and built out Varro. And we've only done that, so about 20 minutes so far to build those out. So pretty quick and easy, especially if you're not talking as you're going through it. But as always, I like to show you in Roll20 how that'll look. So this is a quick look at the Roll20 sheet, and I want to give a shout out to whoever built the Roll20 sheet. This one's one of my favorite I've seen. It's easy to use, especially for all the different things you can add in here. So we built that in. Another quick shout out too, because I just noticed this when I was playing around with it. They built in a tip sheet into the sheet itself. So it has combat and situational rules right in there, so players have it right at their hands. You don't have to like get a handout and put it on Roll20. So a real big shout out for that, because that's really just a really good ease of use feature. Really appreciate that. But you see, as we got that in there, we've got our core stats, and it's very easy to switch it. So if you want to say put a D8 to a D10, we put a D10 in our agility. You're just going to click on the different dice for whatever you have on there, and you can add in your modifiers if you have any as well. We've got his pace, his parry, and with the toughness, you add your armor score to it. So his Kevlar vest had a +2 toughness. So as you see, his overall toughness is 8 now, with 6 of it coming from his just base features and 2 of it coming from his armor, and you notice that 2 written in there as well. Skills are very easy to add in. With the Roll20 sheet, you just click on this, and you can add in all core skills, which I recommend, or you can even add in all skills if you like. I went through and just selected the ones I wanted, and we're going to add in one more for driving. And now you see driving's up there, and it starts you off with a D4. And then if you wanted to kind of change it, you just click on there, and you say 1 step from a base. Then overall, we got our Spencer Carbine in there with the damage, the range, and all of that. We didn't pick any powers for Varro. Then we put his Kevlar vest in, and if you put that armor into the Kevlar vest, it automatically adds it to the toughness in there, just to make life easy. This is definitely one of the ones I appreciated how they have it set up. It was easy to figure out and quick to build in. And then you've got all of our hindrances. We got our outsider from our racial, our 2 arrogant and thin-skinned, and then our hard-to-kill edges on that side. So we've gone through, we built our PC, and just pretty quickly on that side. I just want to give a shout out to the SWADE system. It was one that was easy to kind of figure out. All of it's based off the dice on that side, so I'm looking forward to rolling and seeing if we get some exploding dice for Varro, if I do bring him into a game, or if I bring him into as an NPC for this game. But yeah, it's a very easy one. So definitely check out that side and leave any comments too. If you've built out some cool SWADE PCs, let us know what you did with them, or also let us know kind of what you think about the process to build a PC with the system as a whole. But definitely had some fun with it. Very quick and easy to get used to, and kind of laid out in a pretty logical manner too. And especially with that summary sheet, it's just a really good reference to be able to go through and figure out exactly what you need and build out your PC. But overall, thanks for joining us. If you're new to the channel, like and subscribe. Each month we pick a new RPG to focus on and go into more. My favorite part of it is building a PC. So drop that in. Drop some cool stuff about SWADE that we may be able to look into later. But overall, thanks for watching, and until next time.